Alright, there it is. The Platinum Trophy for Lost Records Bloom and Rage. I actually got this Platinum on May the 1st at 1648, so yeah, it's basically been almost a year since I completed this game. And I'll be honest, I don't remember every single detail of the story anymore. But I do remember the overall experience, the atmosphere, and especially how the Platinum journey felt. So, today we're gonna talk about whether this is actually an easy Platinum, and more importantly, if it's even worth your time. Also, quick heads up before we get into it. My PlayStation actually died recently, so I lost most of my trophy clips for this game. That's why you're mostly seeing the intro and early gameplay in the background. But honestly, I think that works for this kind of game, because it's less about specific stances and more about the overall vibe and feeling anyway. So, yeah, Lost Records Bloom and Rage. This is one of those story-driven games that really takes its time. You're not rushing through levels, you're not fighting enemies, you're mostly just exploring, talking and making decisions. And the whole game is built around memories, friendships and how things evolve over time. It's very similar to Life is Strange in that sense. What I really liked is the atmosphere, the music, the pacing, the way characters interact. It feels very grounded, very real, and sometimes even a bit nostalgic. But at the same time, this slow pacing can also be a downside, because if you're not in the mood for this type of game, it can feel a bit dragging. Now, let's talk about the Platinum. This is definitely one of those Platinums that are more about patience than skill. There are no difficult mechanics, no combat challenges, no time pressure. Most of the trophies come from exploring everything, interacting with all objects, making different choices, and honestly, if you're already someone who likes to take their time in games like this, you'll get a huge chunk of, the trophies without even trying. It's not one of those Platinums where you constantly check guides, but you still need to be aware of what you're doing. You don't rush, you don't skip dialogue, you actually engage with the world. But there are some things that can be a bit annoying, especially when it comes to missable trophies. Because if you don't interact with certain things, or if you make specific choices, you might lock yourself out of certain trophies. And since the game is quite slow-paced, replaying sections isn't always fun. I definitely had moments where I thought, I did everything here, and then later realized I missed something small. And that's probably the biggest difficulty of this Platinum action. Not skill, not mechanics, just paying attention. For me personally, this Platinum was actually very relaxing. It's one of those games you play in the evening, just chilling, taking your time, not stressing about anything. And I think that's something I really appreciated. Because not every Platinum needs to be a challenge. Sometimes it's nice to just enjoy the journey. If you're not into story-heavy games, this might feel boring. And I can totally understand that. If I had to compare it to other games, it's very similar to Life is Strange, Tell Me Why, or other narrative-driven games. So if you enjoyed those, you'll probably enjoy this one as well. But if you're looking for action, fast gameplay or something challenging, this is definitely not it. Alright, before I get into my final verdict, I also want to talk a bit about the story, without going into spoilers. So, from what I remember, This game is built around a group of friends and something that happened in their past. There's definitely this mysterious element in the story. I remember there being something like a strange place or some kind of hole or phenomenon that plays a role in what's going on. And the game never throw it fully in your face. It's more something you slowly piece together. But what really stuck with me wasn't even the mystery itself. It was the relationships. The game shows really well how close people can be at one point in life and how things can slowly drift apart over time. And even if you went through something intense together, life just happens. People change, and sometimes you don't stay as connected as you once were. And I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. And because of the choices you make, you kind of shape how these relationships develop. Not in a super dramatic way, but more in small, realistic moments. And I think that's what makes the story feel so grounded. The game also touches on different types of relationships and identities, which is something you often see in these kinds of narrative games. But it never felt forced to me. It just felt like part of the characters and their story. So yeah, even though I don't remember every single detail anymore after 1 year, these are the things that really stayed with me. And I think that says a lot about the game overall. And there's actually one more thing I really liked about this game. The whole camera and recording mechanic. I remember that you could actually record moments using a kind of VHS-style camera, and honestly I really liked that. I'm always a fan of games where you can take photos, record clips or just capture moments in your own way. And here it just fits perfectly with the theme of memories. Because instead of just playing through the story, you kind of document it at the same time. It makes everything feel more personal, like you're not just experiencing the story, you're actually part of it. And I think that that's something that really stuck with me. Not necessarily what exactly happened in every scene, but the feeling of capturing those moments. It adds this extra layer of immersion and makes the whole experience more unique compared to other games in this genre. And yeah, maybe that's also why I still remember parts of the game, even after almost a year. Because it didn't just feel like watching a story, it felt like creating memories inside the camera. So yeah, with all that being said, I think Lost Records Bloom and Range is one of those games that isn't about being perfect. It's about how it makes you feel. Easy platinum, yes. Challenging, not really. But memorable, definitely. Even now, almost a year later, I might not remember every detail, but I remember the vibe, the atmosphere, and the overall experience. And I think that's actually the kind of game this is. If you're into story-driven games, if you're like taking your time, exploring, and just being part of the world, you probably enjoy this a lot. But if you're looking for action, fast gameplay, or a real challenge, this might be not for you. But yeah, that's it for the trophy talk. Let me know in the comments, have you played this game and did you go for the platinum? And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and I see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.